Ready? Go. Hi, I'm Alicia. Oops. From Crikey, It's the Mormons. I have a special guest today, Catherine. She is a non-member, and we're going to discuss Secret Lives of Mormon Wives with a non-member and their perspective. Catherine's only interactions with Mormons is myself and another friend of ours from my church, and the show and the TikToks, I guess.
Yeah.
So, alright. First episode. You said you took notes.
Yes, I did. I probably should have kept it open.
Mm.
Oh, I did keep it open.
Yeah.
I did.
Okay, so first, whatever. Your first notes.
Okay, well, the swinging party.
No idea. It's not a thing within our church. I've spoken to quite a few Utah members as well, and not a thing either. I'm guessing the whole swinging stuff is within that community is more like no different to regular swingers. Like it's just its own thing. It's not actually connected to the church. It has nothing to do with the church. They just happen to be Mormons who also swing. So, I don't know.
I can imagine how much of a shock that would have been for them to have it on camera, though.
Oh, yeah. You can tell by Taylor Frankie's mother, his attitude, and even her father, they're not impressed.
Yeah, they weren't impressed when she even said that she was pregnant.
Yes. She was, yeah. And like, I guess as a parent, I kind of get it. Because you want the best for your kids. And for them, like going by her bio, she says in the start of the show, how she was drinking and partying and doing all the things at 16, which in our culture is quite normal outside of the church. Like, you know, it's not unusual for 16-year-olds to go and party and, you know, drink's not legal, but someone supplies the alcohol somewhere along the lines. Like, I grew up rural, so, like, we had whole farms to go party on and not get into too much mischief. But, I sort of see it more of they see her potential, just as parents, not even as members of the church, they see her potential and they see her screwing around, literally and figuratively. So, I don't know. But it's certainly not yeah, I don't know.
I think another thing that surprised me was more of the DV situation in number one.
Between her and what's his name? So
Dakota.
she'd been drinking, apparently, and she, you know, she obviously has an alcohol problem. Like you could gather that with enough snippets of the show. So again, DV is prevalent anywhere in the culture. I mean, you just need to look at our street. It's, you know, in Australia, every 4 days, I think a woman is killed in DV, and we don't know what the stats are for men and stuff. So it's just one of those things that, as a society across the world, we need to stop. We need to fight it, and it's quite October, which is when we're filming this, is Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Coincidence?
Yes. So, I mean, she did her time, she did all her things, and what she was actually charged with, from what I've gathered, was the fact that she threw the chair, hit the wall, and it bounced and hit the kid.
But
So it wasn't DV on him.
Something.
No.
Oh, really?
He was trying to calm her down.
Oh.
And she was escalating and escalating and escalating, from what I could tell. So, and that's going off podcasts that I've seen with her, and things like that, like interviews with her that's come from her.
Yeah.
That she owns that. She said straight out, like, yes, she was trying to paint him in a bad light in the moment with the police.
Yeah.
But now that she's gone through the therapy and all the things, she now sees where she was the one at fault. And she tried to say he'd been drinking as well, and he's gone, no, I'm sober, test me.
Yeah.
You know, I am not a fan of Dakota. I think he is a tool. I think there's definitely issues there. But I do give him credit in that he is an addict. He admits to being an addict. He wants to be clean. And he says, just before that DV situation showed on the show, that if she's going to keep drinking and partying and being in that lifestyle, he can't be with her because he is scared that if he stayed with her doing all that, he'll get dragged back into that and go back down the addiction route and go back to where he was, where he nearly died.
Well, knowing that, then I give her big props for learning and growing.
I will say, in the show, when I first saw that first episode, I thought, holy living heck, what on earth? But then seeing her progress through the show, seeing her grow and mature, I'm quite proud of her because she's gone from being a 28-year-old acting like a 16-year-old to a 29-year-old acting like a 29-year-old with kids. Like, I do see her growing and progressing and all the things.
Yep.
So, I will give her a lot of credit there. She actually learnt from that situation. So,
Mine's just gossip. Do you have any questions on what?
well, okay, what churchy related questions do you have? I mean, like, you and I have been discussing this on and off and stuff, so do you want to re-ask them in front of the camera?
My memory sucks.
Well, one of them was to do with the temple. What was that one? Because your algorithm went nuts on your TikTok as well, and you were getting all the antis. So, have you got any new questions in regards to the antis that have been popping up on your TikTok because of this show?
Well, unfortunately, it hasn't been popping up much anymore.
Yeah,
been on Gym Talk.
Yeah.
But, did you want to elaborate on the ceremony, how I asked why people were being traumatized?
See, that's the thing. I don't understand. Like, the temple ordinances have changed over the years, so I don't know what it was like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. I only know this year. And when I got my endowments a few months ago, it was one way, and they've made adjustments to it since then, and I now have experienced the new version as well. I don't understand how people can be traumatized by that. Like, I can't go into certain details, obviously, because some of it is sacred, but, like, for me, you're sitting in a room, like, in Sydney Temple, at least, it's not one of the large temples, like Salt Lake City Temple and things like that. So I know in those temples, you actually move from room to room to room, whereas in Sydney Temple, you sit in a room and you watch a movie. That's it. Like, it's a glorified slideshow of the creation story of Adam and Eve and all that kind of stuff. And people pray over names of people that have put their names on the temple roll because they need prayers for surgery or the hurricane victims or, you know, anything you can think of. You can put your name on the temple for just extra booster prayer for whatever you're going through. And then you walk, like, the only time for us we walk into another room is going into the celestial room, and you just sit quietly and you ponder and you pray and you just be in that room with God, and then you leave. I don't understand where there is anything to do with that would be traumatic.
With the ways that the American people were explaining it, they made it sound like going from room to room felt like more of a cult thing. But the way you're explaining it just sounds
See,
like
I want to experience that because I've seen pictures of the various rooms, and there's one that's called the Garden Room, and it's meant to symbolize Eden.
Yeah.
And every single temple has different work because they get different artists, and based on where the temple is, will depend on what that artwork is. So I know there's a temple over in Utah that used to be a cherry orchard. So all of the architecture, all of the artwork and stuff are very cherry themed.
That's cute.
And I want to go see that because I just think that's just, like, I love cherry blossoms.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite trees. As a former florist, biggest pain in my rear to work with because it's just so delicate and so sweet.
Yeah.
So I want to see that temple just for whatever artwork is in there to do with cherry blossoms and that kind of thing. So yeah, it just depends. Like, the artwork in Sydney Temple is just paintings on the wall, and it's just Australian art. Like, it's stuff that you and I are just so used to that we're almost blind to it.
Yeah.
Because you'll see it in the schools. You know, it's landscapes and stuff. There's no murals, though, and I'm so disappointed because I love, like, there's a guy on YouTube called, his channel is 52 Churches in 52 Weeks. And every week he goes to a new church. And recently, about 6 months ago, he converted to our church. He's on his 3rd year of doing this. So he's gone to, by the time this year is done, he will have gone to 156 churches.
Wow.
Across America. So all denominations, all the things. And for some reason, our church just kept speaking to him. And for him, the bird, there was a bird that kept popping up for him called the cardinal. And it's very rare where he lives. So, like, he took it as a message from God that, like, whenever this bird popped up. And he was doing an open house. Like, he was still he was still thinking, we'll go with an easier word. He was still thinking whether to get baptized, whether just to give up on it, blah, blah, blah. Like, his show went off when he started doing, like, Mormon stuff, like most do. There's a guy who started reading the Book of Mormon and went anti, and he's back reading the Book of Mormon again purely for the content. So, like, great, mate. Great that we can give you content. Whatever. Go on your faith journey properly. Don't go for clout. As far as I'm concerned. Like, if you're gonna go on a faith journey, go for it for whatever. And that's the difference between the 52 Churches guy is everyone started accusing him of doing all this LDS stuff for clout, and he actually wasn't. He was actually on a genuine journey in it, and you can tell he was genuine about it. But he's gone to an open house when a temple is newly built, there's a set amount of time where everyone can go in.
Yeah.
Not like you could go in, sort of thing, and have a look and all the things before it gets dedicated. If a temple gets renovated, they do the same thing.
Yeah.
And so he went into one of these temples that had been renovated. I think it was Manti. And it is one of, like, the first-ish temples. Like, there was a group of 5 or 6 temples or something. Like, it was, like, very early history for the church temple. And he's in the garden room, and he's just looking at the mural, and there's this one cardinal bird in the mural. And he's just gone, okay, Lord, I'll get baptized. He walked out, like, he finished the thing, walked out, finished his video, and all the, like, whatever he was doing, and then contacted his missionaries and was like, yep, let's do this.
Yeah.
And he just recently went to the Nauvoo temple, which was our second ever temple built, which got taken out by fire and I think a tornado, and then we rebuilt it.
Yeah.
So, I want to go to America just to see that sort of stuff and to experience a large temple, because we have a small temple. We only have 2 endowment rooms. So, and you just, like, depending on the day, it depends on what room you get sent to go sit and watch a glorified slideshow with people talking, pretending to be Adam and Eve and God and Satan. So, like, I don't get the trauma.
Sounds very chilled as.
I think it is. Like, the most dramatic part I had was when I went the other day and I had a migraine. Like, a migraine kicked off, because I'm perimenopause. So, thanks.
Perks of being a woman.
Pretty much. But other than that, like, it was calm, it was peaceful. It was probably one of the best places I could be if I couldn't be at home in my room with the lights off, to be honest, to have a migraine kick off. Unfortunately, I then had to leave Temple, go and pick the kid up from the children's hospital, and then try and drive home with all those lovely headlights flashing at me, so...
Ouch.
But I had painkillers in the car. I just had to, like, grit and bear it until I got to the car to take my painkillers, and then grit and bear it to the children's hospital, because by then it'll, whatever. But yeah, so, like, I don't get it. I really don't. I don't get the trauma.
Yeah, no, hearing what it's like here, I don't understand it either. But I've seen comments of people saying because how they feel like it's culty,
yeah,
they have left the church.
Well, you know what?
It.
I think the Catholic Church is culty.
I think you can call any church a cult
Exactly.
these days.
Exactly. Like, this is the thing. What is a cult these days? Like, don't get me wrong, you got the cults. You 100% have got the cults. But at the same time, when you're sitting there saying that this particular religion's been around for over 200 years, is a cult, when you're an evang, and your church has only been around for 20 years, I'm sorry, but I found, going from the Catholic Church to the evang church, they were culty. Like, my mother calls them happy clappers. Like, and I can see it. I 100%, don't get me wrong, I love their music. Love their music. It plays in my car, you know, all the things. But at the same time, I could see how that could be perceived as culty when you're getting up and you're speaking in tongues and you're waving your hands around,
yep, and
you're falling over all over the place. What in living heck, peoples?
It's like, I'm Christian, and the church I used to go to would do the whole speak in tongues,
yes,
and all of that you described.
Which is evang, yeah.
And
evangelical.
We have a church related in Christians,
mm-hmm,
Hillsong, and that's well known to be very culty.
Oh, yes.
I'm pretty sure a lot of people can agree with that.
100%. It is, like, don't get me wrong, again, I love their music.
So
love their music. But, and Hillsong is very Australian, owned by a Kiwi, so go figure. But they are extremely culty. And you see that as well in our former Prime Minister, who was a Hillsonger. And so much of he was like, I am a Christian saying this, but like, what he was trying to bring into our way of life from his position was overstepping. Like, church and state separate, thank you.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Yeah, and I say that as a Christian, I say that as a Mormon, because straight out, I don't trust Hillsongers. I don't. There's just so much going on. Like, you can never get into it for a start. It's like going to a bloody concert, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
My
no,
ex used to date a girl that was there, and he would go and got to hang out with the Houstons and all sorts of things, and he just went, nope, just no. And I mean, he joined the Mormon church. Like, he went, like, he done all the faith hunt sort of stuff like I've done. And I'm just like, and if he's sitting there saying, then I'm like, okay. But, like, I've been to enough similar churches around here to go, you're more culty than the Mormons are. Like, I honestly, after being raised Catholic and being sent to a Catholic school, which meant we had to have the Mass and all the things quite often,
Yeah.
Whereas my mother was very, I call it cafeteria Catholic, pick and choose what you want from it. So we would only go to church for Easter and Christmas, or she felt like she wanted to go to church type thing. There was never any consistencies and whatever. There was certainly never any, gospel conversations and things like that. I mean, this woman was also taught by nuns. So, like, the story she's told me of growing up in a country town with nuns teaching her, and she was a left-hander. So, was being the key word there, thanks to the education system way back in the 60s and the 70s. For us left-handed people, because hello. But then I've gone to the Potter's House Church, and it's not as happy clap or whatever, but it's still quite in your face. Like, I've even looked into Torah observant Christians, which they are quite Jewish in a lot of their beliefs, but they believe in Jesus, like they believe the Messiah came, which is what Jesus is. So, I have done a lot of research, and I'm just like, every single religion, by the perspective of another person, could be considered culty. The Muslims could be considered culty. The Hindus, the Buddhists, everybody could be considered culty by another person's perspective. And we need to stop throwing that word around.
Yeah.
Because it's about perspective. And, maybe back in the early days, it might have been way more culty and very isolated. But at the same time, I know the history. I know why they isolated themselves all the way in the Mexican desert that is now Utah. Because they were being persecuted across the country. They were being massacred, followed across the country. So they crossed the border outside of what was American land at the time into Mexican land at the time to escape all of that persecution. So they could live in peace. They could live by the American Constitution that was in play by then of religious freedom, but they were not getting their religious freedom. So, I mean, like, when you look at Nauvoo, that was a swamp, and they turned that around and they made it livable and all the things. And same with where they were in before they got to Nauvoo, and then again they hit a desert, and you look at Salt Lake, and most of Utah, and it's quite green and stuff, because they did stuff to the land. They did things to make it livable, and that I 100% believe that is one of the biggest reasons for their persecution, because they turned land that other people couldn't live on into livable, farmable land. And others got jealous and wanted it, so they cried, kill the Mormons, and chase them across the country to get the land.
Yeah.
Straight out, because it was the Wild West as well. So who's gonna chase it up? So, but yeah. What else did you have?
Well, it's interesting you ask that. I was actually talking to my husband this morning, and you know how I asked you questions about the coffee?
Oh, yep.
I asked Dylan, because he's got Mormon family, I said, I understand the hot coffee.
Hot
I
juice.
asked you about the cold coffee, and that wasn't a loophole. I was curious, what about things like tiramisu or foods that have coffee in it? Can you guys?
I don't know, actually. That is a good point. I've never been a coffee drinker. So, I don't know, to be very honest. I've tasted tiramisu, and there's one person's tiramisu that I will eat. I ain't going all the way up to Katoomba to get it though, so. And I don't know if she still runs it, because I know she's a real estate agent these days, after her husband passed away, so. But she was also, I think she's Greek. I think that's where it comes from. So, and it wasn't as coffee tasting, but I hate coffee. Hate it with a passion, always have. I was a tea drinker before I joined the church. But yeah, coffee, I don't know why. I can understand why, because it's addictive. So,
Yeah.
and that's how it was sort of explained to me by my current bishop was, it's, to him, it's more about the addiction, being addicted to energy drinks, being addicted to cigarettes, being like anything that's going to, pardon me, control your life the way an addiction will.
Yeah.
They want you to steer clear of so that you can focus on the Lord, which makes sense to me. Like, I was just saying about Dakota wanting to not go near.
I was about to bring that up.
Yeah, so it's along those lines, basically, from his perspective. But I'm like, okay, that makes way more sense than what I have ever heard in the 10 years that I've been a member. So it's but yeah, I'll have to ask.
It's a very interesting question, isn't it?
Yeah, I will have to ask Crystal about that and whether we can have that sort of. I know with alcohol, like if you make a stew or whatever that has alcohol in it, like red wine, you can eat that. Like I've been told you can because the alcohol itself is cooked out of the food. There are some members who will not touch at all, purely because it has had alcohol in it.
Yeah. It's still like listed as an ingredient kind of thing.
Sort of thing. So like, and I get that side of it as well. And like I've asked about red wine vinegar and white wine vinegar, and I don't get a straight answer on that either. So it's very much, when it comes to the word of wisdom, which is where it comes from, the word of wisdom is our diet guidelines, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
So you need eat meat sparingly, which, yep, I see that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And the tea and the coffee, the alcohol, the cigarettes, and so on. A lot of people are like, as time goes on and science makes new discoveries, like when Joseph Smith barred cigarettes, they were considered medicinal for lung ailments.
Yeah.
And he got told, no, stop smoking, stop tobacco, stop all that. It's bad for you. And now we know why. We now know alcohol can be bad for you. So I'm just sitting here going, well, at some point, something will get discovered to tell us why we shouldn't be drinking the tea and the coffee. And I will say, since I've given up the tea, I feel a lot better. And like I went from tea to drinking Coca-Cola ridiculously. Like I was spending $30-40 a week on Coca-Cola. And since giving that up as well, I'm a lot better. My gut health is a lot better. I'm gluten and dairy intolerant. And whilst I was drinking the tea in particular, I couldn't even have even the slightest bit of cheese or bread or anything without needing to live on gastro stop as well. I would wake up, take gastro stop so I could get by my day if, for the off chance I did accidentally consume something, took something off the kids' plate or whatever. But since giving up the tea, I don't need to do the gastro stop as much. Like maybe once a month, like it builds up kind of thing. So I don't know if that's played a role or if it's I'm getting older. But I've gone from as a kid drinking tea and whatever, being able to eat and drink dairy and gluten, supposedly. Like I now know that the extra gas wasn't a good thing. And then it progressed to other stuff, we'll say, to be ladies. And then, and me basically buying GastroStop as part of my weekly groceries because I would have to have GastroStop every single day to keep everything at bay and be able to go. Especially as a firefighter, and we don't know what we're getting fed on the fire ground. We just eat whatever gets brought to us because we're probably already 5 or 6 hours late from the last, from mealtime anyway. So you just like hoover it down and off you go sort of thing. So you don't have time to stop and think, well, I can't eat that. And they do try to be considerate, like, if they can, they check for dietary requirements and whatever. But like, as a gluten and dairy intolerant person, it's some lettuce and some tomatoes and that's it for me.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I will take I guess just stop on my way to the call. So just in case it's going to be like a 12-hour call and I know I'm going to be safe. So, but like again, that's precautionary because I don't know, like I don't track when my last build up was, sort of thing. So we're about to get invaded, so I am sorry.
Can you wait until they're done?
Can we go away, please? Because we're recording. Anyway, so yeah, I'll find that out for you as to whether we can have 2 rooms and stuff. So, because it's just something I've never bothered to.
Me too.
Yeah, what else?
Not really a question, but what I've noticed about the show. I feel like they're more trying to, because you know how with
Raymond?
it being 2024, other religions are all out there.
Okay. I know exactly where you're going with that. There is a movement within the church, particularly Utah, who perceive women as being oppressed and suppressed and all the other crap. And here's some lovely history for you, everyone. Utah was actually the first state to give women the vote. Utah was one of the first, like Brigham Young University, which was their main state uni at the time, was the first to allow women an education. And Brigham Young, with his 50 wives, is the one that did it. He believed in educating women. He believed in teaching them skills. He believed in them working outside of the home. Like, he was not oppressive at all. Most of his 50 wives were actually elderly women that had lost their husbands and things like that. So it was a form of protecting them and supporting them in the way that the culture at the time allowed. He, like from my understanding, my own research and stuff, our church is very much the opposite of oppressing women. Yes, we value women staying home and raising the children, and in this day and age, I do feel that if you can pull that off, that's probably more cost effective than sending them off to daycare at the ridiculous cost of daycare these days. But also, you know, if a woman wants to work, like every single woman in our general authority that has some sort of powerful position, for lack of a better word, are university leaders in their fields type women that have also raised kids, that have also done the family thing as well, but they, you know, you will look up their bios, and some are lawyers and some are, you know, doctors, and, you know, no different to the men. You get, you know, one of our, I think he's recently passed away, leaders was a car salesman. But then you've got the current leader of the church, President Nelson, who is a world-renowned heart surgeon who helped invent the heart bypass machine and actually invented quite a few heart surgeries that we still use today. And he just celebrated his 100th birthday last month. So he started his medical career in a time where you got your license revoked if you touched the heart, to being a founding father of heart surgeries and things like that. And then you've got the women doing the same things, and, you know, so yeah, it's, I don't see where they're getting that garbage from. It's just, I know there are some women within the church who want the priesthood, which is something that only the men have. We have the priesthood in our own way. We just can't do some things with it. Like, we can't give blessings for comfort and healing and things like that. You can give a mother's blessing for healing if a child is sick and so on. But there's documented evidence of things like that happening and working. So again, it comes back to, I don't understand. I feel it's a Utah thing as opposed to a church thing. because they're a special species over there. Like, watching that show, I'm like, if this is Utah, oh my God. Talk about the fall of the church, because... but in saying that, the vast majority from what I've spoken to with members that are in a Discord that I'm in, it's not that. Like, they don't understand what part of Utah that is either. Like, because it's not their wards, it's not their state, it's not their area. So, like, I don't know. It's just, they've all, like, you and I go to the gym together. And Jade goes to the gym with us. And Katie goes to the gym with us sometimes. We've formed our own little community like Mum Talk of gym-going women on various journeys for whatever reason. We're using the gym for losing weight, getting fit, you know, things like that. But it's no different to Mum Talk of they've found through TikTok, they've found their little niche of people that believe and think the same as them. So, yeah. We call them progmos, by the way. Progressive Mormons. And I'm fairly progressive. Like, I do feel, compared to a lot, and I know I'm Australian, so, again, different culture. I do feel I'm quite progressive in my beliefs. I'm more liberal, by their sense of the word, than I am conservative. But I'm certainly not all the way at the other end of that scale where I'm far left kooky kooks. And speaking of cults, you look at the American political environment. You could say the Trump followers are a cult. You could say the Harris followers are a cult. Like, football... Hello, I'm not leaving my house this weekend because it's grand final weekend and our local team is in the grand final for the 5th year in a row. I ain't leaving. This town is a cult. This 100% is a cult in this town for this dang football team. No, thank you. Like, anything can be a cult. Like...
That is true.
Hello, the whole town is decorated. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
So I'm gathering you're not going for Panthers this weekend.
I am a Panther supporter. I live in Penrith, so I need to be a Panther supporter. But at the same time, like, people... When I first moved to Sydney was when they first won the grand final in however many decades in 2003. And holy living heck, that was ridiculous in itself. Here's itty-bitty little country bumpkin me that only ever watched games when my parents dragged me to Newcastle to go watch... My dad's not Newcastle Knights and my mother's Bulldogs play each other. So that was my only real experience. But I never lived in a football town. So for the American perspective, it'd be like, I don't know, college football? Would you say that? Like,
I'd say yeah.
Like, you know, people going nuts with BYU because that's the college team and... Cougars all the way, woo, yeah. Whatever. I don't know. I'm sorry. You know, my ex went for the Patriots and then at some point changed over to Kansas City somethings. They're red. I don't know. But like, just seeing people's reactions to football can be very culty.
Yes.
You know...
Not to mention, footy's like the one nights where DV raises more.
Football night. The gym's empty. Friday night, especially if it's a local game, there's no one in that gym. And we're there during peak time usually. We're there 5:30 to 7:30 and you're lined up waiting for machines type, like, busy. Football night, you got a clear run. Your workout that will usually drag for 2 hours because you're waiting for machine after machine after machine. Even if you're trying to go, well, I'll come back to that one. I'll go use this one type thing. You're there for 2 hours. Which, like, but on a football night, you're there, what, half an hour and you're done?
Yeah.
Something like that, like, you know, and that's with us sharing the machine and, like, you know, taking the break while the other one does the thing. So, like, it takes longer for us to do it together. But, like, football, see you later. It's cleared out. I made a mistake one night, because dialysis is on a Friday night, or Friday day. I needed to go to Coles and Kmart, which is near the local stadium, by the way.
Oh no.
I forgot it was game night, and I forgot that it was a local game. And this is 9 o'clock at night, mind you. By the time I've made it all the way from where she has her dialysis back home to our side, which is about a half an hour to 40-minute drive, it's like, you couldn't get parking. And I always park off to the side, that side car park, because you're almost always guaranteed parking there.
Yeah.
Nope. Not happening that night. I had to wait for someone to leave to get into their parking spot so I could run in and grab whatever it was that I needed. And I'm like, I should have looked this up. I should have checked to see if it was a game night. And just come back in the morning if it was, because this is ridiculous. Because it's free parking in that car park for that shopping centre.
Yep.
Everyone parks there for the football. And yeah, nope. Never again. Thank God it is grand final, because holy living heck.
It's going to be a break for us.
Yep, until whatever sport starts up next. What is it, cricket? Although cricket's not very big here in this suburb.
No, not unless Australia's playing.
No. But, again, culty. You know. Bathurst weekend.
Oh no.
Yep, there's a cult. That is 100% a cult. The motorsport industry for Bathurst weekend.
I guess you could call lots and lots of things cults, especially celebrities. Like, you've
100%.
got Taylor Swift fans.
Yes, you've got the Kanye West fans. Like,
Yep.
Those that are throwing the word cult around might want to take a long, hard look at themselves and see how they could be a culty in themselves towards something else. Because, like, here's the biggest thing. They say we're a cult because you can't leave. That's the biggest. That is the biggest dictionary definition of cult, is that you can't leave. Sweetheart, you can leave our church. You can leave it alone too. Like, you can just not turn up to church, and you might get a visit from someone from church. Like I went like nearly 2 months of not turning up because we had one sickness after another, and I know we have some extremely disabled people within our ward who, if they caught what we had, they would be dead. So I'm very conscious, like, I'm not doing that. I'm not having that on my conscience. So we would just, and to be honest, we were coughing so badly. We haven't gotten back to our regular routine of the gym because of how sick we got. And then Matilda coming back to live with me and trying to figure all that fiasco out. So, like, but I had someone ring to check, make sure we're okay, because they knew we were going through sickness and everything, but just like, hey, you know, do you need a blessing? Do you need food brought to you? Like, and it wasn't you're coming back to church. Like, it was checking up on us, like, you okay? Do you need help? Like, you know, do you need your lawn sprayed? Well, yes, but the rain won't bugger off. You know, like, it's caring for us, and that's it. But, like, you don't want to turn up to church. You don't have to turn up to church. All these people that make... There's a guy, he calls himself Nemo the Mormon. He's no longer Mormon because he got kicked out. Because he was actively making anti-church content and literally harassing his stake leaders. So you got ward, which is bishop, and then you've got stake leaders, and then you've got area something, and it goes on and on all the way up to Salt Lake. Right? He was sending letters and emails to his stake leadership, harassing them with this anti-church garbage constantly. They've asked him to stop, he kept doing it, and blah blah. He flew from the UK to Texas to protest and lie at a town meeting for a temple in somewhere in Texas. Like, dude, it's got nothing to do with you. You live in England. Like, you shouldn't have been allowed to speak because you're not being affected by that in that community. You don't live in that community to have a say. I'm sorry. I don't believe in people
I guess it's also if you don't really want to be a part of that community, you are free not to.
Yep.
But at the same time, those people that want to be part of the community, just let them be happy.
Exactly. I believe the same with the Muslims and the Hindus and the Buddhists and everything in our community. You know, I have great religious conversations with the grandmother that's in the dialysis centre with us. Her 3-year-old little grandson is in there. And, you know, her and I sit and chew the fat, as we say, and get on fine. And I'm talking Mormon, she's talking Muslim, but we believe that it's same.
Yep.
You know, same, but different. You know, like...
That's probably why we go along too, because we believe in the same God.
Exactly.
Usually.
It's the same God, we just use different terms for it.
Yep.
You know, and she wants to wear the hijab, I wear my garment, so what's the difference? You know, some Catholics walk around with the rosary hanging off their neck or whatever. Some evangelists walk around with their fish thingy.
Oh, yeah.
That thingy. I'm old, so I remember the Jesus fish.
The born again fish.
Yeah. You know, like, whatever. You know, we all have our thing. Let us be. You know, I ain't bothering you.
Comforts.
Yep. We all have our comforts, so we all have our whatevers. And there's no need to be rude, nasty, and obnoxious about it. And those that make content to be anti-church, they're 100% doing it for clout because it gets attention. 100%. Like I said, that other bloke, he generally did start to investigate the church. And then he deemed it false, so he stopped producing that content and went really weird, spouted some anti-stuff, removed those videos as well, and has recently admitted he's literally back reading the Book of Mormon for his content purely because it's content. He'd gotten monetized with what he was doing before and he lost enough subscribers and all the things to lose it. So, dude, seriously. Like, you don't believe in the church, find something else to make content about if you want to be a YouTuber.
But you'll find he'll keep doing it just because of views.
Basically.
If he's getting good views, getting good money off it, he's going to... There's just
I
some
don't
people
think he
can't
was.
change.
He barely hit monetization when he flipped.
Oh, good, because he doesn't deserve it.
No. And a lot of us that were following him, because he got mentioned on a live of the YouTube channel that I mainly watch, that I mod the Discord for. And we all followed him. All of us in, you know, all of that YouTube channel's followers and whatever went and followed him, gave him support, gave him love. We're there to answer questions and all the things. And he went weird and started doing the usuals with what the antis do. It's just like, can you just like research your crap first before you're gonna spout? Because like the stuff that he was saying is literally being debunked hundreds of times.
Oh,
it's a simple Google search, you know.
Everyone's got the internet at their fingers.
Pretty much, even the Africans do. You know, like, it's a simple Google search to say this is true or not. Like, get over it, you sooks. So, I've recently heard that Demi has left the church. But I don't know. Again, the internet's full of gossip.
Yep.
But I wouldn't be surprised, given the way she was talking towards the end of that season.
I heard Whitney's might not be in season 2.
Would not be surprised there with the way they cut that editing. 100%. And she's never at any of the joint promos.
Yeah.
Either.
I've seen her in some joint TikToks. Like, recently, but that's
I don't know how old they are though.
She's like full on pregnant.
Oh, okay, so yeah, recent then. But yeah, like I know when the girls did one podcast together, she wasn't there. She was the only one not there. And then Taylor's done that same podcast by herself and she went into detail of the swinging. And it wasn't soft swinging from the sounds of things. It was full. Based on what I understood of what she was alluding to in that podcast interview.
And they made out it was just soft swinging in the first episode. They
Yeah.
lied.
Just from what she was saying, or they were about to make it a full all the way thing when her husband pulled out. But yeah, because he was worried about them getting pregnant and not knowing who the father was and things like that. It's like, that's called a condom, sweetheart. Like, sorry.
There's protection for a reason.
Like, if you're going to lead that lifestyle, you probably should be wearing one anyway. Just saying, you know? Like, I'm hoping you have had the tests done, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm just going to put that one out there.
Don't need to add Maury to the show as well.
But yeah, I'm just trying to think of the other, like, you asked about garments. So, sort of, what was your thoughts of them when I first described garments to you?
It was just something I'd never really heard of before. I think very, like, different to most religions.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, like I said, the Muslims wear the thing on the outside. We wear our religious protection or whatever you want to call it.
very
Underneath our
interesting,
clothes.
that's for sure.
Yeah, and it's been quite interesting trying to find garment-friendly clothing. Like, this dress alone, I've had to make adjustments, and thank God I know how to sew, because, like, I've taken the skirt of a size 10 to put on the bodice of the size 8, because the size 10 was just, no, I don't have boots, peoples.
You can tell that the girls definitely don't wear them then.
Because there, you can see the thing, so, yeah, definitely not. But I find, particularly garment bottoms, I find way more comfortable than regular underwear. Like, and I've gone through the gambit. I've done the G-strings. I've done all the things and stuff. There's no wedgies with garment bottoms. There's no thigh rub with garment bottoms. So, like, I've reached a point in my life, I don't care that it doesn't look sexy. Because, like, I'm not in my 20s anymore, and I have birthed 5 children.
And I'm seeing that they would be very summer friendly too.
We'll see, won't we? I'm struggled a couple of times when we've had those really, really hot days, but there is different fabric types. So you just got to choose your fabric type for the day heat. So, and I'm a firefighter as well. And I know last summer I wasn't coping. That's how I knew perimenopause was kicking in. Because it was a very mild summer compared to, say, 2019 summer. And I could handle, even as an active firefighter that deployed as much as she did and was in the heat as much as I was, I coped way better during 2019 summer at 37, 37, somewhere around then, compared to last year at 40 years old. So I'm just like, huh. And I've recently learned, thanks to TikTok, that the migraines is a perimenopause thing too.
Oh no, don't tell me that.
Estrogen drop.
I used to struggle with migraines just during pregnancy.
Estrogen. You shouldn't have been pregnancy. Estrogen drop. That's what causes it.
It was one of my main pregnancy symptoms.
Oh.
3 pregnancies in a row.
You would.
Yeah, I am. Are you just realising that about me?
No. But this is why we get on so well, because I'm odd too. But yeah, so, and like, I will admit that there are sometimes I don't wear my garment top because I can't wear the top that I'm wearing. But like, I'm still very new and I've got clothes, and I had been buying clothes for years to be garment friendly, and there's a lot of my tops that I thought would be that are not because of the neckline or, you know, sort of thing. But then I'm also now learning as well that certain garment tops have different necklines. So I've just got to gauge the fabric type with the neckline and what's going on in the heat, like with weather and sort of things like that. So it does make getting just a little more complicated than just throwing on whatever's. And because I'm sort of very much, well, am I going to go to the gym today? I am very much, if I will get dressed as if I'm going to the gym, so that I'm less likely to pull out of going to the gym.
Yeah.
For me, if I, like, we discussed before filming that we're going to go to the gym after this, I'm going to need to get changed. And that's effort, ladies and gentlemen. So much effort at the moment. But, like, my brain didn't shut out until 3 o'clock in the morning, and then I was up at 6 o'clock in the morning because that's what my body does. So, like, but no,
makes it that more
I can go to the gym. Like, I've got the time to go to the gym. Let's go to the gym. Yep, he's back. I'm trying to think what else you've asked me since the show started.
My mind's a blank.
Yeah, same. My watch keeps dropping out of the thing, so I can't keep.
I do have one. You know how you said you do have the church come up and they'll check up on you?
Yeah.
I've watched a TikToker saying that apparently over in America, I don't know if you've heard this, or you probably have, they'll have they've got apparently if you move or any of that and you need to change details, that another person in the church can update it for you. Apparently that's a thing in America.
I mean, I haven't changed my details in the church. It just sort of happened that I can remember. I reached out to the local ward when I first moved here, though. So, and had to give the Live Society president the address so she could come and visit. But, like, I moved with nothing because I had to leave everything behind in the old house.
Yeah.
So,
it's kind of a scary thought.
well, not really, because it's... Okay, so how our church records work is we base it on boundary. So, like, again, with the Hillsong Church, it's in, what, Seven Hills? The main building thing?
I think Castle Hill, yeah.
Castle Hill, Seven Hills, somewhere around there. So you've got people from Penrith, Narellan, Campbelltown, and so on driving all that way to go to that building. Whereas we base it on the boundary.
Yeah.
So, geography. So, Penrith Ward is the river to roughly St. Mary's, I want to say. Somewhere around there. Like, somewhere in there to just past Green Brook to somewhere that way. And all the people that live in that vicinity that are members will go to Penrith Ward. So, for us at the moment, it is a 12 o'clock church start till 2 o'clock. And then on the other side of the river, and I can't remember the rest of that boundary, is Emu Plains Ward, and they do early morning. And then next year we'll swap, so they will get the afternoon church and we'll get the morning church because we use the same building.
You guys got the good times though.
I know. I'm not looking forward to 9 a.m. church again. Not at all, especially in winter. Very much in winter. I'm not. Nope. Thank you. Keep me in my bed with my electric blanket because my body hates me these days. I got old. And then Richmond Ward takes over in that direction, and I don't know that boundary. So, but like it's.
You guys sharing the same church building?
Not with Richmond. They have their own.
Oh, okay.
They have their own in Hobartville.
That's cool. Have you gone to Hobartville? The amount of times I've been to Richmond. Never knew. You
do Castlereagh Road and drive all the way through. Just as you hit Hobartville on your right, you'll see the chapel on your left.
I have to.
Road trip?
I go to Richmond next month anyway.
But yeah, so I find that way better because like my ministering sister and my closest person in this ward is literally around the corner. So, it's easier to get support if you need help. Like, my 4-year-old, 2 months ago now? Somewhere like that. Ended up with a 6-day fever and I went to the emergency room. I didn't expect to be there for 21 flipping hours. So I didn't take a phone cable. I didn't take snacks. I just grabbed him, threw him in the car and went. And, I got a hold of my 19-year-old who's not licensed, so she can bring me anything. And actually my best friend who was stuck herself with a sick kid, so she couldn't do anything. So Claire, my 19-year-old, went and got hold of our ministers around the corner, who is our closest church friend in this ward, and said, like, Mum's stuck in the emergency room with Raymond, she needs this stuff, can you please help get it to her? And she came and got, like, Claire packed her a bag to bring, and she brought it into me in the emergency room, so that I had a cable, I had snacks, I had protein water, I had stuff to keep us occupied, because they were feeding him, they weren't feeding me, which, fine, not that he was really eating anyway, because he was just lethargic and placid and not Raymond. But yeah, so they were able to, because they lived close by, whereas when I was a part of the other churches, my people that I connected with lived too far away to have been of any help in that situation. So, and that's the thing with my church as well, like, there are more people willing to help like that than I have seen in any other church.
Yeah.
Like, if I had stuff to move here, I know there would have been people here waiting to help move my furniture in. Because when I moved from Emu Plains to Riverston, I had people from Emu Plains ward load the truck up, and there was people from the Quakers Hill ward, which is the ward that looks after Riverston, waiting. People I'd never met at all, where I had connected with someone on Facebook, said, hey, anyone know anyone in the Quakers Hill ward? I'm moving there, I need help with moving furniture, blah, blah, blah. And there was like 10 to 15 people there, men, women, children, waiting to help unload the truck when it arrived. And they unpacked boxes, they did everything. It was like having the military move me. It was amazing.
That's cool.
So again, you're not going to get that in other churches. And
Definitely not.
and that's the thing, like, I find so loving about it is that we're there to help and support and stuff. Like, when I first moved here, the grass was like Raymond's height, and the Relief Society president organised for the elders quorum to come and mow the lawn. There's like 15 of them with lawnmowers and whippersnippers, and we had it done within an hour, front and backyard and everything. Took clippings away, the whole lot, where my green bin was full, and just so that we could feel safe, because it was summer, so snakes and everything. Not that I think there will be ever a snake in this neighbourhood, because there's too many bloody dogs and feral cats, but you know what I mean? Like, I still felt a lot better knowing that it's been mowed and whatever. Like, we needed blessings a couple of weeks back, and the bishop came, because he was the only one available to come and give blessings, and it was his wife's birthday. And he came and just to give love and support and whatever for us, because we were all sick and felt like we were dying. Whatever Raymond brought home from somewhere, because he is our little incubator that brings everything in.
Always one in every family.
You know, so, but yeah, anything else?
No, I think all the questions are answered for me.
You want me to send you the link to General Conference and you can ask questions?
I know, that's a lot of people I don't know.
Alright, well, we're in an hour and 3 minutes into this video, so, we might, my videos are usually only about 20 minutes long, so, we'll sign off. So, like, subscribe, do all the thingies, and thanks from Crikey, it's the Mormons. Bye.